In this video, we're going to talk about news and headlines that's coming out of the NFC South this week as training camp and stuff starts to roll on. Guys are signing deals. Rookies are finally signing their deals. There's injuries going on. We have a lot to talk about. But this isn't necessarily bluntness sports talk. I am Aaron Duncan, your host, and I start off every video by saying, "What up, dude?" This is the channel where I might not tell you what you want to hear, but I'm definitely going to tell you what you need to hear, and I give recap and analysis of the best division in the NFL, the NFC South. So if you want to see more videos about the Bucs, Panthers, Saints, or the Falcons, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way you don't miss a video. You're going to get a notification if you hit that bell icon, and you stay up to date on everything because football season is about to kick off. I'm about to drop a lot of videos soon, so you don't want to miss a thing. So make sure you hit that bell icon and go ahead and give the video a thumbs up while you got the mouse down there. Make sure you guys check down in the description for any kind of timestamps you may need to skip ahead to any other topics that you want to for a particular team. However, I encourage you to watch the whole division because you want to see what your competitors and your rival teams are doing. I also have some links to some other news that happened in NFC South today and this week down below that I won't talk about, but you can read about if you want to. But we'll start off first with the Atlanta Falcons, who will be playing in the Hall of Fame game exactly a week from Thursday. August 1st will be the date they will play the Denver Broncos. The Falcons actually have an extra preseason game this season, of course, because they're Hall of Fame game. I do not expect a ton of starters to play. However, they kicked off camp early because they play earlier than everybody else. And stop me if you heard this before, there's been some injuries that's happened to the Falcons. Of course, in the secondary and on the defensive line, similar to last year, which is odd, but this time it's not any starters. It's actually backup J.J. Wilcox and defensive lineman Michael Bennett. So these injuries are kind of complicated as Wilcox actually tore his ACL, and this is pretty hard for this. Is going to be some depth that the Falcons like wanting to bring in this year because obviously with Keanu Neal and Ricardo Allen going down last year, it left the void. So they wanted to get more depth, and one of their depth pieces, J.J. Wilcox, has been injured. Fortunately, Keanu Neal and Ricardo Allen, coming back from that Achilles and the ACL injury respectively, are in better shape, and they will be participating in team drills this week, so that's a good sign because they are ready for camp and they seem to be healthy and 100%. This means like last year, Demonte KZ, the breakout safety and move to nickel, will be the backup safety in this regard, and I guess they'll figure things out when it comes to the nickel because they have a little bit more depth there with some of the draft picks that they made. As far as Michael Bennett, I can't lie. When I saw this notification about Michael Bennett being out for the season, I was like, dang, this is devastating for the Patriots, but then I found out it wasn't that Michael Bennett. And this is the same exact thing I felt for this joke before, back when they signed Michael Bennett the first time during the middle of the season. So he had some spot duty halfway through the year. The Falcons decided to bring him back, and he's had injuries in his career before, but for him to break his ankle, it's pretty devastating. I know he's not going to be out for a season according to Dan Quinn. He's going to be out for an extended period of time, though. So that's some depth on the D-line that they lose. However, they were able to make up some of that slack and sign Allen Bailey, a former lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs. Bailey has been pretty decently productive, I guess. He's had, I think he had 6.5 sacks last year with the Chiefs. He's probably one of the best D linemen available at this point when it comes to free agents. So the Falcons were able to fill that void pretty healthily, and of course they'll have a rotation like Dan Quinn likes to do. However, it's a bad sign. I mean, I don't know what Falcons fans feel about it right now, but injuries tend to devastate this team, and I don't know if they want to call it the curse. You know, if you're from around Atlanta like me and you stay in Atlanta, you know about the sports curse that a lot of people and fans around here claim to have. We don't know why. I mean, the Braves have been bad for a little bit, but they won a couple championships. But the Falcons seem to be cursed after that blown lead. UGA has had numerous chances to get to the championship or win the championship, and even lost on some crazy fluke stuff, whether it was Tua Tagovailoa getting injured and Jalen Hurts still beating them in the dome, or the magic play by Tua coming in overtime and beating them. Crazy stuff happens to Georgia teams. You know, I don't know if it's because they did something wrong, or is it because the Falcons paid off a church in order to build Mercedes-Benz Stadium and God is just punishing them. I don't know, but it seems like that luck has been coming, and I just want to say to the Falcons fans to back up off the ledge. Don't panic. You know, still early, but you hate to see these type of injuries this early in camp, but it is what it is. Moving on to some quick news with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They haven't started camp yet, but the players are reporting. But reports came out that Jameis Winston was purporting to camp early for quarterback school with Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians has been known, of course, as the new coach, to be the quarterback whisperer. He's coached guys like Andrew Luck, Ben Roethlisberger, stuff like that, onto great heights. So they're hoping they can work the same magic with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is at a turning point in his career that He's on that 5th-year option, so they're going to decide they're going to extend him or not, and they've tried to do their best to get proper coaching around because Dirk Cutter, although he got hired full-time because he had a good chemistry with Jameis, it didn't work out. It didn't result in any winning of ball games. Yes, they did have a top offense, but there's a thing called garbage time where you get a lot of your points. However, I can't knock what they did offensively, and Jameis and Fitzpatrick were a part of it, so you have to give Jameis his credit. However, they have to bring everything together, whether it's the offensive line, the running game, the wide receivers, or just Jameis learning the system in general, making better decisions as he's more comfortable in that system. So coming in early with the quarterback school seems to be a good sign, and with other quarterbacks on the roster, it's going to be Jameis' show. The other quarterbacks that attended the quarterback school are the other ones that are on the roster, like Nick Fitzgerald, Ryan Griffin, and Blaine Gabbert, along with Winston, of course. So it doesn't seem like Winston's going to have too much of competition. He's going to be the guy that kind of instills some confidence. No looking over your shoulder this year again. No suspension, a full, complete offseason, and a new coach. So seems to be everything set up pretty good to have a Jameis to have a good year. He just has to put it all together. Will he do it? Time will tell. Some people in the fan base have faith in him. Some people don't. The thing around the league is they think he's a bust. But he can right all those wrongs this year if he comes out and makes plays and does what he is expected to do. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and to see if that extra time helps out Jameis Winston in the long run. So I'll pose the question to you guys. What do you expect from Jameis Winston this season with Bruce Arians and everything pretty much set in front of him had a successful year? Maybe the running game, yes, will need to come on some. However, everything else seems to be set. New coach, got weapons, stuff like that. So what do you guys expect from Jameis? Let me know down below in the comments. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints, their news, of course, is Michael Thomas and his contract situation. So we know the Saints have been cash strapped pretty much on the salary cap for a while now, but Michael Thomas wants his money. I know reports came out, and I dropped a video a couple of weeks ago. I'll probably link it up somewhere about how much Michael Thomas is actually worth. And he answered that question himself by saying he wanted $22 million, which is absurd. That would make him the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL and in NFL history, of course, surpassing likes of Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr., and guys like that. Now reports have come out this week that they're a little bit closer than they thought on those contract talks because the Saints initially only wanted to pay him $18, $19 million per year, and that $4 million difference doesn't seem like much, but it's a ton because no receiver has ever been paid more than $20 million in NFL history. So Michael Thomas, he has the numbers, and in my video previously, I talked about him being probably the most underpaid player in the NFL because his numbers have gone above and beyond what you expected a guy picked at his slot has done, especially making less than $1 million projected right now. What you're getting for him is ultimate value. So the thing about it is, like I said, you have to pay him for what you expect him to do, not what he's done. And with Drew Brees coming on the cusp of his career being over, will Michael Thomas still be able to maintain these monster numbers with a guy like Teddy Bridgewater under center, or if it's somebody else? I do not know this, so the Saints don't know either. But it's said that Michael Thomas actually backed off that $22 million number and is back down to the $20 million range, which is a lot more reasonable, believe it or not. He would still be the highest paid wide receiver, but it looks like the Saints are kind of sticking to that $18, $19 million. They're going to try to work out some bonuses or incentives to make that contract end up at $20 million, but make sure every side is still happy. So we'll see what happens. I mean, training camp is kicking off in a day or two, so maybe this discussion goes on in the camp. I don't know, though, because you don't want this type of thing to be a distraction, especially for on the team that's kind of all in for a Super Bowl run, for one last strong hoorah before maybe Drew Brees goes out. You do not want that distraction hanging over your head throughout camp and into the season. I doubt Michael Thomas will hold out just because of the amount of time he has left on this contract, but the rumblings will come, and that can kind of derail a team's cause if they have anything else that's distracting that's not necessary. My only question is, would it be better for Michael Thomas to wait to see what happens with Julio Jones? Julio Jones, it's been rumored that he's actually agreed to a deal so far with the Falcons, and that just because of the collective bargaining agreement, he's not allowed to sign that new deal until Saturday, when it's been a full year since he signed his original restructured deal last year. So everybody's expecting Julio Jones to get paid like the best wide receiver, like the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history, which could be 20, 21 million, who knows. So maybe Michael Thomas, it's smarter to wait on that, and then he can use that as a measuring stick. Like, hey, Julio is that guy, but look at my numbers. My numbers are comparable. I deserve something more. So we'll see what happens with that. But I want to know your guys' thoughts. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the bottom. Do you think this contract situation will get sorted out sooner rather than later? Do you think it'll happen during camp? Will it happen before the season even starts? Let me know down below in the comments. And last but not least, the Carolina Panthers. Their news comes from their first-round draft pick, Brian Burns, out of Florida State, the edge rusher, finally signing his rookie deal. It took a long time. Actually took Brian Burns reporting to camp and actually signing it in Spartanburg at the first day of training camp when they reported and did weigh-ins and meetings for him to actually sign that contract. It was kind of weird because with the new collective bargaining agreement, first-round draft picks, your salary is capped. For lack of better words, like there's only a certain amount of money you can make at each slot. So your contract number is pretty much set. But according to Marty Herney, a lot of this discussion and stuff was mainly due to the language in there. I know we've seen some other rookies in the past, like Joey Bosa, hold out because of some stuff like that. He wanted a little bit more bonus up front, I think. Or he wanted a signing bonus pretty much every year on his contract, some kind of injury protection clause. Whatever, I don't know. But there were still 3 first-round draft picks unsigned until Brian Burns signed. And, of course, the other one is Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa's brother, go figure, and Quinnen Williams, some people think who is the best D lineman in this draft. So it'll be interesting to see when those guys get their deals done and when they report. You know, I don't know if it'll leak over, but I wouldn't put it past Nicky Bosa. But I'm glad to see Brian Burns get in there because he's going to need to be in there from day one. That way he can find his place in his defense and figure out if he's strong enough and good enough to play against the run and the pass. Can he be an every down DN? However, we'll see what happens going from there. But the money and the ink is dry. The money is on the table. It's ready to go. But, of course, as always, I like to get your thoughts on what you think about Brian Burns waiting until the very last second to sign in. What do you expect from this guy this year? What kind of numbers do you expect? Give me some numbers, tackles and sacks. How many do you predict? How do you feel about Brian Burns? Let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Duncan here bringing you the best coverage of the best division in the NFL, the NFC South. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you don't miss any videos because the season is about to crank up and the videos are about to get fired up, man. So you don't want to miss a thing. So without further ado, I'm signing off. I'm Aaron Duncan with the Noticiably Sports Talk. I'll see you next time.